In order to unify, in order for everyone to come together, having the knowledge that there are people specifically and strategically putting hurdles in front of us lower class people is like, it's like they're trying to create a lot of separation and division. And through my research of trying to find this freedom, of trying to understand why I don't feel free when clearly I have a lot of privilege. I live in the United States. I have running water. I have shelter. I have food. So I have privilege, but I also have this sense that there's something else. There's something strange going on. Through this search, through this research, one of the topics that scream at you is elite people. And I often refer to them, these people, I'm saying they're at the top. I often describe them, as the illuminated ones, or the ones that are controlling everything. Because right now in this society, in the world, there's this river, and a riverbank is like things that get pushed towards a specific part of the river. And it's like they created banks, river bank, and it's like the way that it pushes the information is like pushing things to a specific area. Like, I want it to be here, I want it to be here, and I want it to flow this way. And by the controllers at the top of the pyramid, they've created this system where the super, super, super duper wealthy are, at the top, and then they kind of feed off of us at the bottom. And this is really important to know, to have knowledge on, because if you wake up every day and you have chronic illness, or if you have any type of addiction, if you struggle from depression, anxiety, stress, weight loss, anything that you struggle with comes from this knowledge. And I'm going to create as much information as I can to try to help people to see, to create awareness that it really starts with self-discovery. And through understanding your internal reality and your external reality, you can start to tap into things that can activate your internal wisdom. Okay? So what I have found is one really, really important thing to know is who's controlling everything. Because if you don't feel in control and you want freedom, that means someone's controlling you. We're pretty much like zoo creatures, and we live in cages. And these cages can be illusions or physical. It really just depends. You could physically be in prison, in jail, or on probation, let's say, or a felon, because you're restricted. If you're a felon, you are quite restricted. You can't vote. Or let's say you are living in poverty. You're restricted from being able to travel, being able to have the finer things in life. Let's say you work for a company that only requires you to do things a certain way in a box. You're not able to think outside the box and get creative because they have structured everything to be so specific to an agenda of some sort of elite at the top. Because what we've learned, and there's so much knowledge out there, is that the elites control everything. It's a monopoly. It's a system where, all the major companies, everything that we spend our money on, the consumer industry, is literally being controlled by less than like 15 families, something close to that number. The reason this is important is to know what billionaires spend their money on versus what we spend our money on. You have to understand, when we wake up, us regular folk, right? When we wake up every day, we don't think about things billionaires think about, right? Could you imagine the separation there of the importance, the way they live their life? And why does this matter? We at the bottom are making tiny bit of money, right? Yet we're spending money on things that benefit billionaires. This is a problem, because not only are we spending our money on things that benefit billionaires, we're basically supporting this system. We're supporting this idea that they control the way we consume, and what you are what you eat. So whether you physically are eating something that they give you, buying things at a big chain like Walmart, or eating at McDonald's, or you're mentally consuming things like the media, because the media is owned by the elite people in this world. And there's levels to all this. So I'm sure there's levels above them that we're not even consciously aware of, which is even scarier, but it does get that deep. And to know how to get free, in order to know how to get free, you have to know who's controlling everything. I've done some research, I took some notes, and I just want to kind of shine some light on how to break out of this prison, this mental enslavement, this entrapped perception that we have as a society. Right now, in today's time, it's like we're trying to vote on a president, let's say, and it's like out of 300 and something million people in the United States, we're stuck with these two options. And it's really strange to me that we cannot expand beyond that. Like, why can't we have more options? It's because the media, when the media is controlled by these billionaires, they push their narratives. They're able to control what we watch, and what we watch is what we perceive, and what we perceive is our reality. So as long as they push a certain narrative, there's going to be an idea of what reality is at that point, right? I want to point out one of these huge companies here. So AT&T, for example, AT&T owns a lot. AT&T owns HBO, TBS, CNN, TNT, Cartoon Network, NBA.com, NCAA. Whatever, DC, Superman, Flash, Batman, Warner Brothers, Harry Potter, The Matrix, Inception, Suicide Squad, New Line Cinema, Lord of the Rings. Do you hear how much stuff that is? They also are the AT&T cell service, so the cellular service company. They own Uverse, DirecTV, the Yellow Pages, and most companies with the word Bell in it. And then you go in even further to say, okay, well, that's a whole lot of stuff to own, right? Well, the three top beneficiaries, there's about three people, the top beneficiaries of this. And so basically what the elites do, they pretty much own like shares and stocks and things like that. They have investments within companies that we consume. So in order for them to profit, we have to buy things. They have to create commercials and ads. This is what advertisements and commercials are. And we have to put money into their system in order for them to stay at a comfortable position and obviously accumulate more wealth. And it's so strange to me that, like, when you research this stuff, it's very hard to actually find the knowledge you're seeking because it's so extravagant. It's so hidden behind corporations and LLCs and umbrella type things. Like, for example, on what I just mentioned, so Warner Brothers, for example, is the blanket or the umbrella company that owns Harry Potter, The Matrix, Inception, and Suicide Squad. So it's like, in itself, it's like, if you just think Warner Brothers, you're like, oh, whatever, but you don't realize how these things are. Warner Brothers, TNT, CNN, and HBO are all the same thing. It's profiting the same families. You know what I'm saying? And another thing to look at, for example, like Fox News and CNN. Fox News and CNN are part of this, are a huge news source. Like, we pretty much, if we want the news, we turn on the news and we get information from, let's say, CNN or Fox or whoever. And these are specifically owned by, again, billionaires that push a certain narrative, whether they're conservative or supporting the Democratic Party. And this is where lobbyists come in. This is where people that have interest in the people, because again, there's millions of us down here using the money we make, that we work really hard for and slave away for. Like, we slave away for our income And we work hard and take pride in accomplishing this small, tiny little bit, right? Well, we're feeding systems because let's say Fox tells you everyone needs to wear a mask because it's deadly outside, and then all the news sources agree, then we're now at a point where it's like, well, dang, I have to do this. But the actual law, the government is losing its power. The actual for the people, by the people, is losing its power because we're believing in the media's perception. We're assuming that if it's on the news, it must be true. And we're also not realizing that, like, for example, this individual billionaire owns Fox News, the Wall Street Journal, and controls 120 newspapers over 5 different countries. That's huge. Like, that's a lot of control. What's another one here? Like, okay, this guy here, he owns 13 TV and 48 radio stations, ABC, NBC, in the Midwest. So ABC and NBC within the Midwest region. That's like a huge thing. And these people have net worths of like $30+ billion. We got $18 billion here. $118 billion is, the Gates, which he's got Microsoft. He has a huge investments in waste management, Walmart, and railroads. Like, what? And then it gets deeper and deeper. And you have to realize, so an interesting example, our past president, Obama, $70 million is his net worth. He went from senator to president, wrote some books, which got him speaking gigs, and there's this pattern with writing books. People that become politically famous tend to write these books that just get them so much money, millions and millions of dollars. It's really, really odd. Like, it just doesn't add up to, like, for example, the Obamas took a vacation for their like daughter's graduation or something, and the place that they stayed was like $63,000 a week to stay there. And it's like, it just makes you think and question, like, what is actually going on here? Another example I just want to point out, like, us down here, we work for money and we can own a business. We maybe work for a company. We're trying to work our way up. However, but we never anticipate being able to see billions of dollars. You know what I'm saying? These people are really holding on to this wealth, and they're strategically placing us where they need us so we can consume, because they're feeding us information through the news. This is really important to understand how it's happening, because I also want to point out individuals like, so I looked up Jay-Z and Beyonce's net worth, which is $1.5 billion. Eminem's net worth, $210 million. Jay-Z, Beyonce, and Eminem do not even compare. Like, there's like so many levels. So the people that control the media are like up here at the top. And I think there's even a smaller percentage of people above them. But there are actually, because like the Rothschilds, there's people that own the banks. And the people that own the banks, they pretty much live outside of time and money. Like, they rule the world pretty much. And then there's the people who are trying to get that high, right? And then there's people underneath them that are like the entertainers. These people distract us from who's above them. That's why they pay entertainers, actors, and musicians, and athletes. They want to keep us distracted at that level so we don't look higher, right? So the musicians and the actors, they are making, anywhere from a couple million to some hundreds of millions, right? Which we're seeing here with the 2 examples I gave you. With this knowledge, I don't think that the idea here is to aspire to be billionaires, to aspire to be equal to these people. I think the idea with this knowledge, with this wisdom, with this understanding is to decide if you want to support this system anymore or not. Do you want to continually to aspire to be equal to these people? I think the idea with this knowledge, with this wisdom, with this understanding is to Decide if you want to support this system anymore or not. Do you want to continually support big companies that don't have your best interest at heart, that are killing small business, that are keeping you and your children, your legacy, at the bottom? Do you want to continue to support and feed into the narrative of the media that is controlling your perception of reality? Are you accepting that you are teaching this to your kids to follow the line, follow the order that they create? Because you have to understand, at the very top of all of this, we even have people that create the money. And the people that create the money, they control all of this. Because not only do they create the money, they put spells and cast. You have to understand, this goes deep. The inscriptions on the money, these aren't just random. They don't just like say, oh, I feel like putting Latin inscriptions on money. And that's not how it works. Like, this is actually a scheme, guys. It's a pyramid scheme designed to keep you and I at the bottom. And so we don't feel free. We're just so distracted with overwhelming work that we consume drugs and bad food and become overweight and depressed and suicidal a lot of the times, because we're so outside of what our freedom, our natural element would be. And this is why I use the description of being in a cage at a zoo, because zoo animals are in a cage and they get fed. They get fed food. Like, they don't have to work for it. They don't have to do anything. They're outside of their natural element. And it's really saddening to see these creatures live this way. But I guarantee you, if you opened all the cages at the zoo and then we run free, right? How many people are going to run back to the cage like, feed me, please, I want to stay here? That's what a lot of people are doing. A lot of people are comfortable with their enslavement. And truly, it's a system that it's going to require us to fight back. Like, we have to decide, individually, because not everyone's going to fight. Not everybody's going to see this as slavery. And a lot of people are just accepting and okay of this knowledge. And a lot of people are going to think it's insanity. Like, whatever, this is stupid. But truly, there's a lot of people that do want to be free. And in order to be free, we have to understand where we are in this game and that we do have numbers. Because on the pyramid, yes, those people have money. But money is just paper. And we have physical numbers, guys. And in order to create a unified army, let's say, it's not just money that's going to win in an army. Like, you need numbers. And we have the numbers. It's just really, we have to see past the illusion of division, separation, race, religion, politics. They don't want us to discuss this, because if we can have an open dialogue with each other about these things, we can come to the conclusion that we all want the same thing, and we want to be free. We don't want to be enslaved and chained to their agenda, to what they push in the media. We really are all in this together, like they're pushing in the media. We are all in this together. But what are we in? Should we continue to believe that all of a sudden that the most important issue right now is to wear a mask? Is they're just telling you what you should pay attention to? Because there's way more problematic issues that we should be talking about than if we should wear a mask or not. We, the collective, if you are immune compromised, I am really, really, really sorry for you. And I am not trying to in any way talk badly about you. I am trying to help society become healthier by making better decisions with, we all have a choice. And to be healthier is a choice. And I just support I support freedom and truth, art, passion, and wisdom and knowledge, because knowledge is power. Passion is your key to happiness. Art is beautiful. Truth is the absolute. Like, I just want to help people to see the illusion in front of them. And if you can just for a moment do some research and realize the privilege that they have. Can you imagine what it's like raising these royal families, these elites? Do you think they eat Trixes for kids, or McDonald's, or I don't even know. Do you think they eat this poor, terrible food that they feed us? Or do you think they have really, really good food? Or and really, really awesome vacations, an educational system? How do you think they educate their children? Do you think they send them to public school? Or even the private schools that we have? How well do you think they educate their youth? What religion do you think they follow? I see a vision of the future where we can connect to these higher truths through our internal reality, because I think a lot of the knowledge has been hidden from us to suppress us. I think at a very, very high level, energetically, they can feed off of us, not just through physical money. Money is a physical item, but they're using us in other ways too. And this is why the higher the pyramid you go, the less and less you know of who is actually sitting up at the top. Because the celebrities, they're in the middle somewhere. They're not elites. They are not that powerful. They are controlled, they're puppeted, and that's why they can't speak out. That's why they can't, if they know this information, they can't do too much, because they can be, one, hurt. I mean, they can suffer consequences. So choose your freedom. Realize you have the power to be free, and you don't have to be silenced. You don't have to be depressed and in a state of low vibration. This energy, you have the potential to be amazing and great and meet your highest potential in this lifetime. Just try to become aware of your surroundings day by day, moment by moment. You learn, you grow. Every day you learn. Every moment you're learning. There's so much knowledge out there. Just choose your perception. Where do you want to put your energy? What do you want to consume, and what do you want to allow into your being? How do you want to experience life? As a slave? As a free spirit? Like, how do you choose this? I'm going to stop there. Thank you so much. I hope to help free some spirits out there, or to enlighten and help to create value. So thank you so much. I'm going to leave some links to a lot of the research that I've done on kind of the topics of who these people are, like following the money, So I'm going to leave some links to that in the description, and I would love to make more videos about this. So if there's any questions or ideas, topics, etc. that I could talk about, just let me know. So thank you. I appreciate it. Bye.